Hey there guys, this is Sidewinder for Community Starcraft 2, and today's video is going to be dealing with cheese as a Protoss player versus a Protoss player. So there's a lot of cheese going around in PvP. This video is strictly to help you guys overcome that and stay calm and make the right decisions during a game. So what we're actually going to be watching, I will pause the game. We're going to be watching myself versus another Protoss player. I ideally want to get pro replays for these, but it's pretty hard to find pro replays of pros getting cheese because, I mean, cheese is what it is. It needs to be in the game so that you can build your builds around that and have to respect the kind of pressure somebody can put on. But cheese also just kind of feels like a waste of a game to a lot of people, so you won't get a lot of replays out there like that. So I was just waiting for myself to basically get cheesed and show you guys how to handle that kind of situation. So what you're going to want to do, first off, is considering it's Protoss versus Protoss, you want to scout early. This is Zelnaga Caverns. They can only spawn in one position. But this is the map I think you're going to see the most cheese on, just because as the person that's going to be cheesing, excuse me, let me set myself to busy here. The person that's going to be cheesing doesn't need to scout around. They can send their probe down immediately and set up a proxy building somewhere. They don't have to wait to get scouting information or whatever. They can just go. So you're going to see a lot of cheese on this map in particular, so this seems like a good example to start off with. So when you're being cheesed, or rather when you're just opening up in Protoss versus Protoss in particular, one thing I want to see people do more often that people do not do enough is think about where they place their first pylon. So I'm going to be coming out here. I'm going to place my first pylon here. The reason why is because, let's say they're going for a cannon rush. If a Protoss ever cannon rushes you, they're going to want to start cannons on the low ground nearest to your mineral line as possible. So it only takes basically one pylon here, a cannon, and then another cannon to start hitting your nexus or your probes so that they can continue to advance up here, and you're just going to run out of space to defend. So this first pylon needs to be well thought out. Put it near a place that's near a cliff or whatever that's close to your nexus that they'll typically start a cannon rush from. Because if you start this pylon, their pylon's probably going to be starting at the exact same time right here, and you're going to see that well in advance. And it comes down to the fact that you have high ground vision, and he is not going to. So you will be able to win that easily if you just drop a forge and put some cannons right here. There's no way he can win that fight. So first pylon placement is very, very important. The second thing that's not really going to be mentioned is you need to stay calm. If somebody is cheesing you, you cannot overreact, you cannot get mad. When you go out to scout here, you want to check around for cheese in common places, and this is actually going to be kind of funny. I scout over here into these weeds, see that there's nothing here, and I'm just going to go to his base. I'll just keep you on my vision so that you can see what's going on from my point of view here really quickly. So as far as some general rules for holding off really any kind of cheeses, you need to stay calm and you need to know how you're going to react based upon what you see. So my build here, I'm going to go for a 13 gateway. My second, or rather the probe that I use to put the gateway down, is going to come up and scout up here to make sure there's no proxy buildings up here. So he's going to come over here and see what's going on. I'm finally going to get to his base and I'm going to see nothing here. This is the exact point where you need to say, okay, I'm probably getting cheesed. This is very, very unusual. Make sure you scout around in the other dark portions of his base to make sure he's not hiding something and trying to trick you. But I can see that his nexus is not active. He's not chrono boosting it or anything. He has a lot of chrono boost energy saved up, so there's really only one thing he could be doing, and it's more than likely just proxy gateways. I still don't know where they are. I'm still checking around with my probe, but yeah. So at this point, your first reaction needs to be get up to a few more probes. You can go probably up to 15 or so, and then you need to drop a not a nexus. You need to drop a forge. Definitely don't drop a nexus while you're being cheesed. You need to drop a forge. So go ahead and drop a forge somewhere. And the idea here is that the forge is going to be able to hold off whatever you need to hold off. I know it's not a cannon rush because there's no cannon starting up on the low ground. It's got to be proxy gateways at this point. So my objective here is going to be hold off. The zealots are going to be running into my base via my one gateway and via a couple of cannons just to protect my mineral line and protect my buildings the best that I possibly can. So I'm going to come down here. This probe is going to stay near his base. This is very important, especially if you are being proxy gatewayed. The idea here is that if his proxy is out somewhere on the map, he has nothing to defend his home nexus, so you're going to kind of counter cheese him at the same time. So I'm going to stash this probe up here, leave him there for well, basically the rest of the game, And the idea here is that he's going to stay up here while I worry about defending my base, and as soon as I'm sure that I can defend my base, I will start to cannon rush him. So second pylon here is again very well thought out. This is going to be just in case he starts cannons up here or something. You need to be able to defend your nexus, and if you're setting up cannons and you get your cannons started before they do, they will never be able to advance on that position. So basically I'm just covering all my bases. You kind of just have to think, okay, well, what can I lose to right now? So if you can cover all the avenues in which where you might lose and stay on top of every possible scenario that can happen, you're going to be in a lot better shape. So I'm going to go ahead and see, this is the enemy scouting probe. I should turn on team colors, but I don't think that actually works in replays. I'm used to it in the regular game. So I'm finally going to come down here. I'm chasing his probe around. I still don't even really know where his proxy gateways are, but my priority here is to get one zealot out, since if he's going to be proxy gatewaying me, he's going to have a zealot out as soon as possible. I need to chrono that zealot as hard as I can. I need to save minerals so that I can drop a cannon, and one zealot plus a cannon will hold off a lot if your cannon positioning is smart. So I'm going to go ahead and get that zealot. I should chrono it as soon as possible, but I'm more worried about getting the cannon down. And I'm going to protect this cannon the best I possibly can. I'm going to rally my zealot here so that they can't get attacks on this. If they want to attack this cannon, they have to go all the way around here or all the way around here. And this cannon's range almost reaches to this side of the mineral line, so I need to drop a second cannon. So I do now see the proxy gateways. This is extremely alarming. I mean, now I know exactly what's going on. And had I just swung my probe down here to scout, I would have seen this coming a long time ago. But I'm still in a very good position so far. So let's see what's actually going on now. It's just the second pylon coming in. He will be putting gateway, or rather zealots out off these two gateways. Ideally, he'll want to split these up so that there's a zealot producing here and here. So did make a little bit of a mistake, but whatever. So I am chronoing out that zealot. This first zealot's going to get here. I need to assign it to that zealot. And one thing you can do if it's just a one-on-one zealot fight, pull one of your probes and attack this zealot a couple times. That'll assure that you're going to win that fight. So I'm going to pull one probe, deal just a little bit of damage to this zealot, and now I know that my zealot will win this fight. So that zealot's dead. I'm already up a zealot. The second one's coming in. My cannon is now finished. So if he tries to attack into this, I might lose this zealot, but it doesn't matter because my cannons are up. Second zealot's coming in here. He's trying to find a weakness in which he can attack something. So he might think, okay, well, I can just attack this pylon. No, my cannon's about to finish here because I had good planning and everything behind that. Ideally, I should correct myself and say, if you're being cheesed, put your pylons back behind your mineral line, so that if they try to attack your pylons, they have to run all the way around. This one I obviously couldn't help. It's more of a spotter pylon. But eventually, as later into this game, I won't play the whole thing. I do eventually overcome it, and this pylon actually gets killed, and this pylon also gets killed by just tons of zealots. But I rebuilt my pylons right here and right here so that they could power my cannons. I could get more zealots out and basically end the game. Now, I'm quite sure that I am safe from what he's doing. So I have two cannons up, I have a zealot out, another one's on the way. He's producing zealots 2 at a time, which basically this is as standard as you can possibly get with proxy gateways. It's just 2 gateways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start setting up my cannon rush as soon as I possibly can. If you're going to be counter cannon rushing, just put a pylon here on the low ground, make sure it can reach the high ground so you can power a couple cannons up here, and yeah, just get it going as soon as you possibly can. If they have a forge down, you need to be a little careful here. This might not work, but if they're just going proxy gateways, which is the easiest and most simple cheese that most Protosses will do, then that's definitely the way you're going to want to hold this off. So at this point, I have 2 zealots out. He has 2 zealots out, or rather 3 zealots out. He's going to start getting you ahead of you in zealot count, but if these cannons are well protected, he is never going to break you. So the idea of a cheeser at this point is if they can get you to kind of sit inside your base and be scared, then they can go back home. They can start teching up and kind of make it into a sort of real game, I guess I could say, but whatever. So I'm starting my cannon rush here. I'm going to put a pylon here on the low ground, and I'm going to wait until this cannon is done before I start placing cannons on the high ground. We'll just fast forward here really quickly and show you guys the remainder of this game really fast. So as soon as I get these 2 cannons down, he does not have a forge, and this is a cybernetics core coming down. He is dead. There is no way that his zealots can come down here and kill these cannons because I'll have 3 cannons done by the time his zealots are out. He's going to have a lot of zealots, but it doesn't really matter. All I need to do is, this is the timer for his death. I need to just not die until that's all done. So just go ahead and watch the rest of this on fast forward. he does cancel his cybernetics core. I'm going to continue to advance cannon just to be as aggressive as possible. He's going to send in some zealots here and kill my pylons, unpowering my cannons, but with good micro. And again, this is smart crisis management. You need to just stay calm. You need to just make the correct decisions as soon as you possibly can, because he's at 6 zealots, I'm only at 3, and both of my cannons are now unpowered. So you just need to get pylons down as soon as possible, manage your situation the best you possibly can, and there's no way he can kill these cannons. The other thing that you want to be paying attention to is if you're in this kind of situation where the game still hangs in the balance, but you know that you have a spot that he can't break, you need to save your minerals. I'm saving up my minerals until about 450 so that I can produce a nexus and another probe if I need to. So I'm not going to turn around and fight these zealots. I'm just going to let everything else do the work. Fortunately enough, my pylon finishes and I do eventually clear these zealots out, and that does effectively win me the game, considering he cannot break me at this point. So yeah, there's just a lot of different things that you need to be wary of. Just as a quick recap, place your first pylon somewhere that's going to be defensive at a position that will hold off cheeses, so that not cannon rush you here. Your second pylon should be defensive as well, if you can possibly help it, especially if you are expecting cheese by that point. Scout on your first pylon and scout on your gateway as well. Your pylon scout's just going to be going to his base and seeing what's going on. Your gateway scout is going to be around your base to see if there's anything being set up in your base. So as long as you follow those rules of thumb, as long as you can get your forge and your cannons and buildings down in the right order and counter cheese him or do whatever you need to do at that point, you should be perfectly fine, and you should win most of your games in that circumstance. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. From the mindset of a cheeser, all they really want to do is just get a cheap win that doesn't require very much effort. So if you're able to just outthink and outstrategize them, they will rarely hold off a counter cannon rush like this. You'll usually win in that method. But just stay calm. Make sure you know the reactions you need to make. Make sure that you prioritize all of your actions, and you're not doing something like dropping a cybernetics core or mining gas in this situation, because there's no reason to do that. It's not going to help you win. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. I'll see you guys later, and enjoy MLG for the rest of the weekend.